It's October. It's October. We got some exciting things to talk about. It's interesting news in the news day. First off, I'm going to talk about this one. A little personal note.
Go ahead.
This little thing on my nose here is my basal carcinoma.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I know you weren't going to say anything. Most people don't say anything. And there's that one person that goes, "What happened to your nose?" I love that person.
I'm going to be taking toilet paper off me for weeks.
Anyway, that's what happens for years of not putting on my sunscreen when I was out in the sun shooting. So wear your sunscreen. Little public service announcement here on the Slanted Lens.
Well, Red secret camera is no longer under wraps.
Oh!
I don't know if you saw what I did. See, we were covered in toilet. We were under wraps. The wraps. It's called the Red Raven.
So tell us about it.
All right. So you've got a Dragon sensor in a weapon form factor, right? So you've got a smaller body than the Epic or Scarlet body. It's only 3.5 pounds, which is lighter than the weapon, so it's a very lightweight camera. And the same Dragon sensor, but you're looking at a 4K crop of the 6K sensor. So it's slightly smaller sensor size than APS-C.
APS-C.
And then it's a slightly larger sensor size than a Micro Four Thirds sensor. So you're looking at a 1.87 crop factor. So anyway, so some other things about the Red Raven. You can also shoot a 2K ProRes file, which is very nice if you want to, rather than have a raw file straight out of camera, if you want something that's a little bit more editing friendly, you can shoot to that ProRes 2K file, which is still a lot of information. But you have the dynamic range of the Dragon sensor, and the weapon kind of the way they process. So I mean, it's going to be an interesting camera. I know people that have already made the deposit.
That's incredible.
But $6,000 is their price tag, which means $12,000.
Oh, really?
Yes, because $6,000 is going to get you the body, the media bay, and the EF mount, which is not an interchangeable mount. It's a fixed Canon mount.
So that's all. Doesn't come in a PL mount?
Nope. It's a fixed Canon mount for now. And so $6,000 is going to get you that, but then you got to get a monitor, you got to get media, you got to get something to read the media. So really you're looking at about $11,000, and then if you want more than one card, $12,000. Which you're going to want more than a card.
Kills me. Yeah, you got to have more than one card. You can't have one card.
And their advertising for the whole thing was 4K for all.
At $12,000.
At $12,000, and I'm going, really?
So what's the cheapest entry point for a 4K? A decent 4K. I mean, the GH4 is a great camera, but it's still a small sensor. I mean, if you're getting something closer to a full-size sensor, what's the best entry point right now?
Oh, closer to 4. I mean,
closer to 4. We know there isn't one out there, except for you have the
Super 35. You're probably looking still at the Sony FS7 for about $8,000, and that's a 4K internal Super 35 sensor camera. I'm still dying to see what happens with this Ursa Mini, the 4.6K sensor.
I am dying to see the Ursa Mini, and have been dying for several months.
I know.
It's like, what is the story anyway? Well, get it right, or get out of town, I guess.
Yeah, but that's still, I think that's slightly smaller than a Super 35 sensor as well on that camera.
It is slightly smaller, but it's a nice size sensor.
Yeah.
It'll look great with a 1.8 lens on there.
Oh, yeah.
It's fabulous. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's move on to some other things. I just wanted to bring this up because I think it's really significant. I'm into stock photography. I have all my images with Getty stock, and Adobe just bought Fotolia.
Okay.
It's a stock company. It's a privately held stock company, and Adobe just purchased it. It scares me to death, and I'll tell you why. Because all my images and my commitments with Getty, and I see Adobe are eventually going to sweep this because they've already said they're integrating it directly with Creative Cloud, which means that you get on your Photoshop, I need an image, and there'll just be a button there that clicks stock, you know, and you'll be pulling stuff into your...
At a fraction of the cost.
At a fraction of the cost, and really easy to use, and I think it's going to really hurt Getty stock. I really think it is.
I mean, is Getty stock images still a great source of income for you?
You know, it's interesting. I tell people about stock photography, it is really important that you make stock that doesn't cost you any money to create.
Yeah.
and then the money that you make on it is going to be worthwhile.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
And I make significant amount of money on stock. I still do.
Wow,
I still
great.
do. Yep. But I have a huge library out there as well.
You've been doing it for 25
years. 20 years, yeah.
And so,
at least, yeah. And so, but you know, I still send in. It's amazing to me. I shot pictures of graduation when my daughter graduated. You know, her with her friends, a whole group of friends, jumping with their diplomas, you know, laughing, you know, this kind of lifestyle stuff.
Did you have to get releases for all her friends?
Absolutely.
Wow.
All their parents signing, those that weren't 18.
Yeah.
I put that up. I sell that stuff constantly, every year.
Wow.
Not a fortune. I'll say I made $50, made $100. You know,
but you do that with 20,000 images.
You know, it's still. But again, I'm telling you, if you're sitting at home right now listening to the show going, I'm going to make a living in stock photography, you're crazy. It's not going to happen. But you know what? I tell people, like, I shoot for the Slanted Lens. I shoot for my clients. I try to always negotiate with the talent and with the as a part of the job to have the stock rights.
Right.
And so that way I can just sell the stuff that we shoot.
For those of you that are nervous also about getting release kind of paperwork, any kind of legal form, there's apps now. You just kind of release photo app or something like that. I have one that's just called Release. And everywhere you go, if you take a picture, just, hey, could you sign this on your app and your phone or whatever, and you get it right away. 2
years ago, Getty wouldn't accept those.
Yeah.
I have not tried it since, because we started using them and Getty rejected them all.
No kidding.
Yeah, they said, no, this is not a legal document. But that was at the dawn of signing with your finger, so I would guess at this point they've embraced that. But
it's got to be.
I would hope so. I need to look at that again, because
what's the difference between having text in a paper form and text in a digital form?
About 20 years. Because if you're old, you're going, it's not written down. You know, we're gonna mail you your rebate. We're gonna mail you your code so you can get your.
Yeah, thanks Panasonic.
Yeah, it's like, what kind of world is that? There's some old guy who's 95. We better mail it to him. Anyway, so talk about the Panasonic, the GH4.
Right. So the GH4 came out with a V-Log, so you have higher dynamic range in your GH4, which is something that people have been asking for since the dawn of this camera, right? So I mean, now you've got higher dynamic range, you've got an internal 4K image that actually looks great. I mean, it's a really beautiful image. In my last film, we used it 3 times for aerial footage. So yeah, we put this little guy with like a pancake, kind of fixed, like a 12mm lens. Of course, it's a 2-time, it's a micro four thirds sensor. And yeah, we put this thing on the helicopter, or the octocopter, I guess it was. Images were awesome. So, but now you've got this V-Log, so you got higher dynamic range, but they're charging $100 for the
upgrade.
For the upgrade, right?
That's interesting. I predicted that at one point. People will start charging for all these upgrades. It'll be like a menu of, I want this, this, or this.
Right.
You'll start. Camera only costs you $500, but it's going to be another $3,000 to get all the things you want it to do.
And we had mentioned, you know, Arri does this a little bit with their Amira camera. You can buy their entry-level Amira for what, $45,000, but if you want it to do a log C recording or a 444 recording or high speed, then you start paying thousands of dollars for these software upgrades. And I have my mixed feelings about it, but yeah, look at that. Look how creamy that is.
I mean, it's such, I mean, it's very flat, very flat. You got everything. You got detail everywhere. So what kind of dynamic range do you get with this?
I'm not sure. My guess is that it's about 12 stops.
12?
Yeah.
But that's what the Mark III's are. No, 11.
No,
11 something.
Yeah.
11 something.
And I would even.
Canada's shaking his head back there. He's saying 8, 9. That's not true. That's not true. All right, maybe it is.
Yeah.
We'll look that up.
Okay.
I'm still defending the Mark III.
So if you could get 12,
I don't know why.
If you can get 12 stops dynamic range out of this 4K internal camera, now you're into something. And so I'm excited about it. But I'm not excited that they're charging $100 for it.
Well, we do know this. You have to mail in. You have to buy it, and then they'll mail you the code to be able to get it, which is, I don't understand that at all. That's just archaic, man.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference between mailing something and emailing something? I
don't know.
I mean, about 5 days.
Yeah, there you go.
To 7 days. That's what the difference is. Hey, I saw this on the blogs. I thought it was a really interesting question. It was just on one of the pages. It says, do you need to travel to be a successful photographer?
That's funny.
It's a funny question.
Yeah.
But you know what? Everyone has this sense of, and so I'm going to answer this from my point of view. And I'll say 2 photographers that I'll use as evidence.
Yes.
Edward Weston, who used to sit on Brand Boulevard in Glendale, California, and he would buy peppers. And he would put these peppers in dishes and things and do these beautiful black and whites. Just a renowned photographer. If you don't know Edward Weston, you need to do a little bit of research into the history of photography, figure out who Edward Weston is. And he would eat the peppers when he was done, because that's all he had. He was a photographer. Of course he didn't have any money.
Yeah.
He used to have to time his exposures to wait for the train, the red line, to go by, so it wouldn't wiggle his exposure because the building shook. There's a great, just a great documentary called A Monk with a Camera.
I haven't seen it.
It's a 2014 documentary. I loved it. It was a lot of fun to watch. And this monk shot images in his room for years. Just his room. A study of the light on a cup, the study of it, you know, and just some fabulous images. It's a really interesting story because he came from a very wealthy family. His grandmother was the a photo editor or editor, I think, of Vogue.
Oh, wow.
And so he came from a family that was in that, but then gave that all up and became a monk, but then started taking pictures. And so he'd always loved taking pictures. So anyway, can you be a successful photographer and not travel? You can be a successful photographer and never leave your bedroom. It's been proven.
I think I understand the origin of the question, though, because you know, like coming back to Instagram and Facebook and social media, like you see those guys that are doing photography that are literally traveling the world, and sometimes for big campaigns and stuff, and they've made careers off of traveling, and you just get a little jealous. And I do too.
It's the sizzle. It's the sizzle of the, you know, that's the National Geographic photographer. It was always a thing when I was really starting out in the industry, you know, be a National Geographic photographer, travel the world, see these cool places, you know. Yeah, so it's just but the reality is, if you want to hone your skills, make yourself shoot once a day for a month in your bedroom, in your living room, in your house. Don't leave your home. Study light, look at interesting patterns, look at good design. You know, make that it would be an interesting Instagram kind of experience for a month, you know, and just see what it looks like. So
unfortunately, about 90% of Instagrammers are already practicing that.
That may be exactly what they're doing. Okay.
GoPro's got a new camera.
Really?
GoPro's got a new camera.
Who?
GoPro.
Really? Do they make cameras?
GoPro makes cameras. They do.
Well, they do. I have several of them.
So they have, you know, they came out with their smaller camera, and it was $400. So it was like 40% lighter, or half the size, which is really cool. But I don't think anybody's buying it because of the price. So they dropped the price to $300 instead of $400. But the new camera is the exact same as, it's called a Hero Plus.
Hero Plus.
And so it's the exact same as the Hero Plus LCD, just minus an LCD screen.
Oh.
So now it's $200, and it's a 1080p camera as well, 60 frames a second for $200. So
$200. That's a great point.
It's great.
People will start buying these, but no LCD.
No LCD, but it's got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth ready to go.
So you can watch it on your phone.
Watch it on your phone.
Yeah, that's
Get
great.
the frame up.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So another cool thing that was actually announced right after we did our last show, the day after, is the Sony A7S Mark II.
Mark II.
So you've got, so the A7R Mark II is a 40 megapixel sensor, so that's going to be more still-minded, right? But the A7S Mark II is going to be more video-minded because you've got your low light capability, which is still insane. So I mean, I can shoot 6400 ISO, and it just is super clean and beautiful, and still has a great dynamic range. You've got your S-Log, so you can shoot your Sony high dynamic range gamma. But now the major advantage to this camera is you have internal 4K like the A7R Mark II, and you actually have a higher frame rate at 1080p, so you can do 120 frames a second at 1080p now.
That is so fabulous. 120 frames. That is fabulous.
That's great. That's great.
And
then I think you can also do 240 frames a second at 720p. So, you know, if you want to start cutting footage between 1080p and 720, if your final output or format is 1080, then I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's a little dicey, but if you're on a phone, if you're a YouTube format still and you don't really care, then 720 looks great.
So here's the question. Why buy the A7S2 versus the A7R2?
It simply comes down if you're doing video or stills, because you still have a 12 megapixel sensor on the A7,
which gives you the higher
low light
sensitivity.
Because the size of your pixel is much larger now, and so you're able to let in a lot more light. So for that reason, I mean, for stills, you can always put it on a tripod and open up the exposure for longer. You can do 1/10 of a shutter or a 2-second shutter or whatever to get more light in. Or you can do strobes. You have that incredible power of the sun packed into this little thing, you know, and it's amazing. You don't have that capability for video. So there are situations where you just don't have the light, you're running gun, you need to open up that ISO. If you go past probably 1250 or 2500 on the A7R Mark II, you're going to start noticing a lot of noise. And I think the base ISO is actually set at 1250 on that camera. The point where you get the best dynamic range and the best image quality is going to be about 1250 on the A7R Mark II. For the A7S, it's 3200. So more than twice as sensitive, but the way that processor works, I mean, I'm telling you, I shoot, like my last wedding, I shot at 12,000 ISO or 6400 ISO. That 6400 ISO, it's clean as can be. It's amazing. And so, you know, for me, that's great. And if I can do that and get a 1080p image at 120 frames a second and get internal 4K for those clients that need it, that's power for video. And a 5-axis stabilizer now built into the sensor.
See, that's fabulous. That is fabulous. All that. Well, I mean, Sony, I mean, when's Canon going to get on the train here, man? I don't know.
I can't talk about it.
Chili's restaurant spends $750,000 annually to make their burgers look better on Instagram.
Where's the money going?
I don't know. It's just...
Do they have to hire for every Chili's restaurant like a burger specialist?
It isn't.
So that it goes
they
out
spend $750,000 to make their buns, to create a bun that looks better in photographs.
A higher dynamic range bun.
Yeah.
So that the light wraps smoother around the bun. They probably
more
flew
photographic
him in
bun.
from like Switzerland.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
It was like some guy that was just like, I specialize in, you know,
in photographic buns.
in increasing the dynamic range of your buns.
That'll be $750,000.
$750 annually, please.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a job. iPhone, new iPhone 6s was announced. A 4K camera. So now you got 4K video. Actually, it doesn't come shooting 4K. You have to then go into your settings and change it to 4K. I'm assuming they're doing this so that you can save space.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was taking video when I first got it, going, cool, like it's in 4K. And I started looking at it and I was pinching it and going, is it 4K? And then I went to my video settings and realized it was set to 1080p. So that's how it comes stock.
Well, that makes sense. Or somebody's going to go out there and shoot a ton of video, and pretty soon their camera's full, you know, their phone's full.
I'm wondering if it's like an experiment, a social experiment, like an Emperor's New Clothes experiment, you know? Where they're like are people going to start posting these videos on YouTube going, look at my 4K footage? And it's
well, look at
1080p.
that. Exactly. Exactly. But it looks so much better.
But it's 1080p.
And everyone goes, yeah, it looks so much better. It's the Emperor's New Clothes.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Anything else happening?
No, I feel pretty good. This was a good little segment.
It is.
Some good stuff.
News and reviews for the month of October here on the Slanted Lens. Don't forget to follow us on our podcast.
Yeah.
And
Trends from the Trenches.
Trends from the Trenches.
Slanted Lens podcast.
Slanted Lens podcast.
Yeah.
And if you want Trends from the Trenches to continue, if you want us to be on the air, you've got to go to Sammy's and support Sammy's camera. Here's the URL. Check it out. Go there and support Sammy's in any way you can. If we don't get that kind of support from our show, then Trends from the Trenches will not be happening in December. And I don't mean that as a threat. Well, actually, they threatened me. But.
So that's...
The reality is, if we don't get support from those who follow Trends from the Trenches, we won't be on the air by December. We have 2 more months. So support Sammy's. If you're going to buy a piece of equipment, go to Sammy's website. If you're going to, if you're looking for educational opportunities, there's great places there where they have photographers who speak. There's great stuff. So go to this landing page and check it out. News and reviews, month of October. It's time for reviews and questions on the Slanted Lens.
Let's check our mail.
Let's check our mail. Let's see what we got. I'll bet we have something in the old Flamingo mailbox. Well, it just happens to be right here. 1 stack for Lars and 1 stack for JP. Let's push the table forward.
Thoughtful, you guys.
So we're going to jump right into this. Some great questions, and we're going to try to give you our best answers here for questions on all the different segments. Send your questions in, and we take them from the comments on the bottom of all the lessons. If you email them to them, we'll answer those as well. So on the high-speed photography, shooting a light bulb, literally, nicely done. Would the sound trigger have worked better if it was closer to the BB gun, since electronics function at the speed of light compared to sound? You could then run a long cable to the camera. Just curious how many light bulbs you went through. It absolutely would work better. We had the sound trigger. It's a MyOps trigger on the camera. BB gun was probably 10 feet away, and it is fascinating how slow sound is.
It is.
It is really. So yeah, there is a cable. You can move that BIOS trigger right to the sound source. We could have done that, and then maybe we'd had to put it on the trigger on a bit of a delay, just to figure that out. You know, how many millisecond delay would we want in order for the moment that hits the light bulb. And we shot like 50 light bulbs.
50?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was
were they dead light bulbs or not dead light bulbs?
No, they're good light bulbs. We had them on as we shot it. So you'd get the flames coming off from it, you'd get the smoke. It was cool. Oh, you haven't looked at our lesson?
No, I haven't.
Not offended. Not even a little bit.
You're so offended. He's not going to talk to me the rest of the day.
All right, let's go on.
All right, Spyder calibration review. I was always wondering what or how these devices calibrate. Do they set up an ICC profile on your OS base on the measurements? And calibration in itself seems to be pointless to me unless you know which standard the device will be calibrated, sRGB, Adobe RGB, or other. I fully understand this tutorial is not for the advanced, and I was not intended to go into details of color science, but could you please share your thoughts and experience on this as well? Thanks. So. Oh, the video anyway is top notch.
The video anyway is top notch.
Great.
Gotta throw that in.
So the thing about your profile, your sRGB or Adobe RGB, actually doesn't matter, because you can set that and that's fine. But as soon as you start calibrating, all it's doing is looking at the color of the pixels, and it's creating a profile, an ICC profile, or something called, I call them a LUT, which is a lookup table, and it's just looking at the pixels and making sure that the color that you're getting. So when you create that profile, it automatically saves to the either the OS X system, your display preferences, so you can automatically apply that, and it will give you the LUT that looks the best for that monitor. So it's not going to be universal. You can't take that same profile and bring it over your laptop and say, well, it worked on my iMac. Because you have to do a calibration for each computer, because all it's doing is looking at the pixels, the light coming off the monitor, and it creates a profile for that particular monitor.
Gives you a clean canvas, and at that point you can work in whatever profile you want, sRGB, Adobe, but it gives you a clean canvas to look at those things at and to be able to know that it's correct.
Yeah.
That jumps right into this next one. It says, pro tip, don't ever use the screen on your camera for either brightness, color, or contrast control. It should just be a reference frame for your composition. Everything else should be read out of the histogram.
Yes.
It's absolutely true. I mean, it's a best guess. If you're in sunlight, that screen looks terrible.
My favorite is false color. So if you have a camera that shows you false color, that is my favorite, because now I know exactly 40% is probably where I want my skin tones in a more dramatic situation, 60% is where I want them in a more high-key situation, and then I know that my yellow is 97% and my blue is 3%. So I mean, if I'm starting to get into the purple or red zone, it's either lost or overexposed. It's like, so false color, if you can just look at that index, there's only like 5 colors to memorize. If your camera does false color, use it, because it's the best thing that you'll ever do.
You're not going to get that in most cameras doing still stuff.
False you will see histogram, though.
Histogram is doing the same things as false color. You can see where the histogram's falling and make sure you have a correct exposure, and that is the best way to check what you're doing. Although sometimes I like to push the histogram a little bit. I want things to be a little more moody, you know. But you know what? My problem is I shoot like I was taught in film. I shoot to get it in camera, to create it in camera. I make all my decisions in camera. Now people, they want to shoot and make all those decisions in Photoshop, which is a much different work. Which means you want, if you're going to do that, you want as high dynamic range, you want everything to be full, you want your whites to be clean, you want your blacks to be open, you want all that ability now to make those decisions in Photoshop.
Atomos Ninja Assassin. Anyone know anything about the battery life? Seems to be a vital aspect, yet it's left out of pretty much every review I've seen.
That is true. It was left out of ours because we didn't have a battery for it when it arrived.
You just wall power, huh?
Yeah, we were just plugging it in. It worked forever when you plugged it in the wall. I mean, just
works
never
a long
had a problem.
time.
Long time
on that.
It was really good, really good. But the battery life, I don't know.
They take
really
Sony batteries, right?
They do.
So it's the Sony style LP battery, and I mean they have different sizes of those batteries. My experience with monitors is that you actually get a pretty long-lasting battery life, maybe in the 2.5 hour, 3 hour range for a pretty standard battery size. So I don't know.
See, I'm a suspenders and a belt kind of guy. You know, if one battery as a backup makes sense, I know it's never going to be charged in time, so I have 2 batteries. and 2 chargers, and you always know you're going to be taken care of.
You know, I didn't realize that was, on a side note, a fashion faux pas thing until pretty
Suspenders
recently.
and a belt?
Yeah.
Please? Where have we been?
So I wore
I
once.
want to see you wear a pair of suspenders.
I was like wearing a pair of suspenders and a belt, and someone was like, don't take off the belt, you idiot. It's like, what? Why? You're a suspenders and a belt kind of guy. You want to make sure you got your systems checked. A backup of a backup.
Okay, Trends of September is from Dave Jenks.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's not just the Sony which has problems with the image review. I have the same issue with the Fuji XE2 and the Olympus EM1. It's totally frustrating, and it wouldn't be difficult to put in a firmware update. It's terrible. I was sitting there taking pictures of a train, trying to get more used to my A7S, and as I'm taking pictures of the train, it's like the picture comes up in my face. Right. When it goes away, the train's gone.
Right. So,
and like a
Canon camera, you take a picture and it's a single lens reflex. You're actually looking through it, and then when you pull it away and look at the body,
really quick.
you see the image.
It's exposed. Yeah, I can do it really fast. So.
Right.
And people have said, well, you just take that off. Well, I had 2 things. One person said, well, you can look at the review in the eyepiece, but that's the problem. It's too slow looking at the review in the eyepiece. So, and when you go back and forth, it's just too slow.
Separate the mirroring ability, right? So what I see in my eyepiece, I should be able to separate from what I see on the LCD screen. I want to be able to see a review of what I'm shooting on my LCD screen without seeing a review on my eyepiece. Just give me that software. Just write it in the software. Separate those 2. All right. 8 ways to know you're ready. So the video that you did, that you're ready to start charging for photography.
Yep.
Gary Lewis said, how do you have a conversation with
a client? Is that Jerry's brother?
Jerry?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You're way too young.
I am way too young. How do you have that conversation with a client you've worked with for a few times to tell them that your rate is going to increase? This is a great question. Or that you need to step away from doing work with them. You take this one, because I don't know.
I have a really simple equation for this.
All right.
I do this with my clients. If someone comes in and they say, I don't have any money, say, no problem. I will shoot this for whatever you've got.
Okay.
But then every time I shoot with them after that, it goes up by at least 30%. And if they start complaining, I just say, you know what? That's what it is. Most people don't ever complain. I just keep raising the rates by about 30% every time I shoot with them. Wow. And pretty soon I get clients going, my word, when we started with you, you were $2,000. Now it's $15,000. I'm going, yeah, that's where it should have been. And I gave you a deal in the beginning, and I slowly, you throw a frog in a pot of cold water and turn the heat on, and eventually it'll boil him. You throw a frog in hot water and he jumps right back out.
I hope your clients don't watch this show.
Don't throw any frogs in water.
That's not what I'm talking about.
But you're just slowly moving them up to where it should be, and that's just the process.
Yeah, and I have a hard time, because there's people that, ask me my day rate, and I tell them, it's like, oh, there's this guy I've been working with for now maybe 4 years, and my day rate hasn't changed for this guy. Every new client that I get, it's new clients I get, if they want the Alexa and the super speeds and all that jazz, and then me to come in and just, now we're looking, it's a $10,000 video, but that one client that's been calling for 4 years, yeah, it's $600. You know what I mean? I'm talking about JP Morgan.
I knew that was coming.
But I'm not pulling out the big guns for this guy, and I'm not shooting Alexa, because that's not what he's expecting. I'm using
We're not getting the big guns?
I'm not getting the big guns. I'm using the same camera that I was 4 years. I'm still using the same camera, but I don't know how to say to him, you know what? It's gone up. Now it's double what I was charging last time. You know what I mean? So and I think I don't think he would be opposed to it, but at the same time,
you know what? There's a great, I can't remember who this guy was that did talked about being a great salesman. He said, you know what? I can give you a million ways to get people to buy things and to work them into a position. My pen or your pen. You're going to do all these kinds of things, And in the end, just ask them for the money.
Just ask them.
Just say it's more expensive. Photographers are scared to death to ask for money.
Yeah.
They're afraid people are going to say no. Let them say no. Let them say, oh, I can't afford it. Well, we'll do this one the same rate as before. But next time, let's be prepared for that thought. I mean, it's a conversation that, as creatives, we've got to get over that conversation.
So true, man.
You have
to.
True. Here, I'll give you your business tip of the day.
Okay.
If you're doing a shoot that's really cheap, then every time the client wants something, it's really expensive. Oh, you need a chair? That's going to be $4,000 for that chair. If I'd have known ahead of time, it would have been included, but we don't have it. It's going to be $4,000. And that's an extreme example of that, but it does work. I was on a huge shoot. We were way over budget, and the person said, hey, we need to add another shot. Well, you take all the expenses that you're over, you take your perspective where you're at, and that's what the new shot's going to cost, plus the cost of the new shot. You don't just charge them for the new shot. You wrap up everything that you're over on, you get it, you recoup it all in that change. So change orders are like gold. I love it when people have change orders. You know, everyone on set when we're going, oh, they're adding another shot. I love it when they add another shot. You know, it means I can get all the money that I didn't charge for, or that expenses I didn't expect. I can get it all wrapped into that other shot.
It is amazing, like how like everything's a budget until they're there and they want something.
Then there's money flows.
And then there's no budget at all.
Right. So, that dancing chihuahua is $20,000. I'm telling you right now.
But we need the dancing chihuahua.
You gotta have it. No one can shoot without a dancing chihuahua.
You can't. It's impossible.
So, this is Scenery 9042. It's not a good strategy to stop your interviewee to get them to repeat or restate a question. Instead, try to ask questions that push for full sentences instead of one-word answers. Your subject will feel more comfortable and will provide deeper responses if they feel they have a little control over the interview. When you interrupt them to direct how they should answer a question, they begin to feel pressure.
Right.
That's absolutely the case. I don't know what I said in that video that made you feel otherwise.
Yeah.
I just try to lead people around, asking the same question 2 or 3 times. I'll wait a little bit and I'll come back to the question again.
Yeah.
But sometimes if I get frustrated, I'll just say, hey, look, this is what I'm looking for. You know,
just
would
say
it kill
that.
you so much to just say it? So.
The documentary enthusiasts are rolling in their graves.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I'm sure they are.
But no, yeah, completely. So you just ask the same question more than one time, and really start to try to get a conversation going. Because if you ask the right question or you kind of reinstate it, they'll get the idea.
Yep.
Okay. Basic of a one light setup. So this is another video from.
It's a classic. This is next to the most views we've ever had on a video.
300,000 views?
Oh, I think it's almost 500,000 now.
Woo. From N. Okello. Said, there is nothing basic about this setup. False advertising. Just laugh. Yeah. Reason I stated what I stand in the first place is because a large majority of people watching the video are amateurs, including myself, that don't have a generous amount of money. Your video is a display of lavish production using expensive gear that the average Joe cannot afford. That's why I found it misleading and anything but basic in my opinion. Your video is great. I just think it does not reflect its title properly. What do you say to that?
This is exactly what I say to that. You miss the point of the video. And this is the point of the video. If you put a single light in this position, that's the result you're going to be. A flashlight, a strobe light, a window light, anything. When my daughter called me and she said, I've got to do these pictures for a class project and I want this really pretty light, like a butterfly. I don't know where to shoot it. I said, go to your bathroom. Back yourself up to the window in the bathroom. It's a small little window. It's going to be a single source. It's going to be a small source. Put the person right in front of you and then put black behind them. And she shot these gorgeous portraits with a butterfly light on this person because they got a high window above her head.
Yeah, and it's probably soft. You know, it's like those bathroom windows are diffused and they're high. So it's like a perfect little butterfly light.
It's a perfect light, you know, and it's just sitting right there in her bathroom. So, so the principle here is whether you do it with thousands of dollars of equipment or whether you do it in your bathroom with a diffused window above your head, the light has to be in the same place. So learn where the light has to be, then you can use any light you want to. So that's the principle. But I appreciate your perspective and always love to be called out on things. So thank you very much.
Great.
Miscellaneous. What happens to the business class?
What happened to the business class?
I am going to do the business class. I'm going to try to get it up and going by November 1st. That's my goal. If you're interested, you've got to reach out to me because I've got to know if enough people are involved enough to be involved. I have to know if enough people are interested enough to be involved. I'm going to post all of the old lessons that we did, all the old business class, but then I'm going to do a once-a-month call-in where I answer questions with everyone who's in the class.
Do you know how much you're charging it for the business class?
You know, that's my problem. It's people don't want to pay a lot of money for these kinds of things.
Here's the way I look at it, man. Even if, for example, this thing we just talked about, how to charge more for clients, you know, like the little information that we just gave is going to make people, over the course of a year, thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars.
You know, so if you've got a business class where the sole purpose is to talk for hours about how you can increase the amount of money that you're bringing in, and I don't even know how many tips and tricks there are. Like you can hardly put a dollar amount on that.
This was 16 weeks of classes, an hour and a half each.
Oh my gosh.
And we go through everything from how to get your business started and how to have a daily routine so you can get clients.
You can't, they don't teach those sorts of things in school.
No.
They hardly teach them online, because the truth is, people don't want you to know.
Well, the truth is, most people don't know.
Yeah.
Even the ones that are online. I mean, that's, anyway, but it's from years of me being in business practices. I will share that business class, we'll get it up. And this is from Michael.
Michael and Christine.
Michael and Christine. Merrick.
All right.
All right.
Okay, Wi-Fi card. Does it have a...
Does have a compact flash.
Wi-Fi card does have a compact flash adapter. Still, I'm not getting fast enough transfer speed or reliability from them. Well, yeah, for the Wi-Fi to be faster, you need to be closer to the device that you're transmitting to. But
and it's
even
still Wi-Fi.
Just
tether the thing. Put a cable on it, for crying out loud. Yeah. You know, I mean, been doing it forever. It's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. It's the best way, most reliable. It's going to give you the fastest speed. So that ends Trends from the Trenches, our questions and answers for the day. Great questions. That's some nice things. Yeah. We're interrupting this program for a special service announcement from the Slanted Lens. Hi, I'm sitting here in my wife's bathrobe and I'm blowing bubbles on this little pipe because I don't have a smoking jacket and I don't smoke. But it doesn't change the seriousness of the conversation we need to have. We need to have the little talk. You know, the one that makes you uncomfortable, makes you squirm in your seat. It's time to have it though. We need your financial support here on the Slanted Lens. I know, I said the F word, the financial word, but we really do need your support. Without your support, we are not going to stay on the air with Trends from the Trenches. If you'll go to sammys.com/slantedlens and just check out what's there, it'll be a great support to us. It'll keep us on the air. It'll keep us being able to do these programs each and every month. And that's what we all want, isn't it? So just go there, check it out. See if that's of value to you. See what they've got there. We really appreciate your support. So keep those cameras rolling, keep on clicking. So here we are with Ken. What does Ken want to talk about? So what do you want to talk about today, Ken?
I wanted to talk about, because this is like October, you've got...
It is like October.
It is.
You've got on set certain individuals that usually become the villains of the set, and certain ones that become the heroes of the set. Okay. I wanted to talk about the heroes on this set, especially if you're like the digital tech on set. Usually their role is questionable a lot of times because they're like only sitting behind a computer. Well, they're actually in charge of a lot of stuff in the computer with making sure everything's working smoothly for the photographer. You know, maybe your first assistant is going to take on that role, but the digital tech knows if something happens immediately. So if they can come out and solve the problem, they become the hero. So a few things that, you know, as a digital tech, you're not going to be the only one just yourself walking on set. You've got your laptop with you. You've got, you know, hard drives that you're going to need for the job, because you're going to be transferring images per se for the photographer and for the clients. But you should have a few other things. Specifically, like...
Okay, so I'm looking at what you're about to show us here. So this is like the how to become a hero on set.
Yes.
Because you have a hero kit.
This is your kit.
This would be good for assistants as much as digital techs, right?
Absolutely. And even if you don't hire photographers, you know, if you're a photographer and you're not hiring assistants out with you, you really should have something like this with you, because this will save your butt probably when you're on set.
Save your butt kit.
Save your butt kit.
Yes.
First things first, before you get into this, a nice SKB case.
Nice SKB case, absolutely. We love the guys over at SKB. Yeah. We really do. They make great cases and they're great people there.
And we carry them, so we're quite happy with their company. They do a really good job of making the cases per se. A little lighter than the Pelicans.
Yep.
So first off, the first thing that usually will go wrong on any shoot is the cables.
Yep.
The first thing will go on. So, and the photographer may only have one cable, or if they rent a camera, they only get one cable with it. Make sure as you're, you know, going out, you have a couple extra cables, even extension cables. So this is a powered extender by Tether Tools. This is actually just a standard cable, USB 15-footer. They're orange, so they're visible when you're on set, so you don't step on them, because that will break cables almost immediately. But having something like this is a very inexpensive solution that will save the job.
So this goes camera to USB.
Yeah, camera to USB, you know, to a computer.
Two great items.
There's the extender, but you know what camera you're going to be using first too. So if it's a digital back, you're using usually firewire cables. Make sure you have an extra firewire cable for the photographer, because when something starts happening and you lose connection continuously, change the cable out. That should probably solve it.
Yep.
Another thing, and this is going to be a little bit more in depth for the true digital tech. Have a bunch of memory cards, yes, memory sticks. But before you go on set, download the programs that you're going to be using on set. So like if you're using Capture One, for instance, download a full version copy and put it on a thumb drive so you have a full version just ready to go in case. Because you may have to reinstall the operating system or reinstall the actual program to solve a problem. Sometimes that can be an issue, especially if you have
good thought is the most current software update for the camera.
Yes, and that was also a big thing. You put the firmware of the camera software on one of those things so that
handy.
When you're in the middle of nowhere and you have no Wi-Fi connection, what do?
Yeah.
There's nothing. You're stuck.
Yeah.
So
or the Wi-Fi's slow and it takes forever to down.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just
you could put every firmware ever created on one of these 8 gig drives.
Absolutely. So having something like that in your toolkit again, and your kit is actually one of those essential
things. So it's not just, although those are fabulous because the client will say, "Can I take some images?" Or can I, you know, they're just great to have.
There you go, and don't be afraid to sell it to the photographer then.
Absolutely.
So you yourself, you've got your day rate. Well, now you've got. Well, I've got one of these. I'll sell it to you for, you know, $15, $20.
Right.
Captive market. You can't do anything. You can't say no.
So what else you got in there?
Well, cleaning the sensor. Having sensor stuff, because
sensor
you know what? You're a digital tech. You're in charge of the camera. You need to make sure that it's clean. Also, make sure you have lens cleaner and tissues, because lens tissues and cleaners. You know, you're going to be. Do it upside down. Yeah, you're upside down.
Sorry, one on the back isn't. Come
on. So having lens cleaning, sensor cleaning, that's going to be important, because the last thing you want to do as a digital tech, cleaning up every little photograph with all the dust. So a dust blower also, that's part of it.
I was on set with a 16-year-old, one of the Slanted Lens listeners said, "Hey, can we come and hang out? Can I come and hang out with you on set?" So he's on set with me, and my glasses are fogging over. He has his little lens cleaning cloth, cleans that up for me, and I'm going, I love this kid. Shaheem, he was really cool.
He's looking for a job.
Well, he was really on it, and he was actually really valued. So.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. One more thing, an extra card reader.
That, I can't tell you how many times I've either forgot the cable to the card reader, or I forgot the card reader, or it's in another bag. Or,
well, and that's where, keep it all in one bag. You know, okay, this might be a little small for all the stuff we're throwing out here, but actually it's fitting pretty well inside here.
Yeah. Especially if you start taking things out of boxes and putting them in small bags.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So another thing is just simple grip gear. You know, like roll of black foil.
That's so useful, man.
You know, how many times do you need to, like, especially if you're on a laptop and you have the sun beating down on you, just a little bit shade. You can make a shade out of this thing real easily.
Nice.
You can use that and give the photographer saying, you know what, oh, he needs to change the light a little bit, but it's coming and spilling a little bit more. Well, you've got a solution for the guy immediately. Plus, you know, clamps, just little A-clamps.
Yep.
1 inch, you know,
and these are so cheap, man. A few bucks, at least.
Yeah, and
these things will go such a long way.
You know, if you want to run cables, you can actually put it on the cable, or at least around where the cable has to go, and not smash the cable.
Yeah.
But
or your finger.
Or your finger. Yeah. That is perfect. Another thing is basic tools.
Basic tools. Those are incredible. Having a set of what do we call those things?
These are Allen wrenches.
Having a set of Allen wrenches on set. A screwdriver, a multiple screwdriver.
If you have like a Leatherman tool.
Leatherman is really
perfect.
helpful.
I mean, you got a knife in there too. I mean, that's another thing. You want to have like a blade at least with you, because you might have to cut something like some string, something like that. So it's absolutely essential to have some of these things. How many times I've seen tripods kind of like give way because, oh, the leg just loosened up.
Needs to be tightened up.
Now you need to tighten it up, and well, oh, nobody has a tool to do it?
Here comes
Hero.
Here
comes the hero, you know, fixing the problem.
Look, dude, $16.99 for the set of 3.
You know, I buy these things that have on one side metric, the other side old standard.
That was the purpose of these three. Yeah. These have standard and metric, and definitely have both.
The T wrenches.
Yeah, the T-stars. Yeah. Because a lot of the tripods actually use a T-star instead.
There's a lot of cameras. The Airy cameras all use T-stars.
Do they?
And so, I mean, I've had to go out and buy, to tighten things. My PO mount got loose. I had to run down to Ace Hardware to buy a set of T-stars so I could come tighten the thing.
So yeah. One other thing though you really want to kind of consider. Now this is going to be how much or hardcore do you want to become for your assisting. And that's actually have pocket wizards or spare pocket wizards with you.
That's pretty hardcore.
That's pretty hardcore.
I mean, this is getting to be like, okay, this you would rent to the photographer. Say, hey, you know what? I have a couple extra pocket wizards with me. I know you had to set up another light, so I've got the cables for it, depending upon what it might be. So I'm basically able to
this is the kind of stuff that you could rent for $50 a day, right?
Oh, easily.
Yeah, because I mean, you're there, they need it, $50 a day.
Are they going to be able to go, if they're in the middle of the desert, are they going to be able to go to I'm sorry to say, if they're going to be able to make it to us in about a timely fashion while they've got everybody on set? How expensive is it to, say, oh, I can't do that job or that shot because I don't have a pocket wizard?
Well, here's my, okay.
Go on.
Just a caution. Just don't hit the photographer up every time you pull something out of your bag. You want to use this as a hero bag, like save the day a couple times. Bigger items you can charge for, but it just makes you super valuable on set.
Right.
What else would you add to this?
You're not. Please.
Well, it's $5 for a cable.
For every little
strap of
here's
black
the
wrap.
other thing. Yeah. You're trying to do this to create the solutions for the photographer
to become a value on set.
So that your value on set, and that he'll rehire you over and over and over. And then, okay, you charge a little bit more the next time you do the job, or every time you come out, you charge a little bit more because you're bringing so much more value to the shot, to the job itself.
So before you go on here, well, okay, are these kits to put them in or something?
Yeah, I was going to say the biggest thing is organization.
Yep.
Show up organized. That's the best thing because then you know where things are. Plus, when you're packing up at the end of the day, you put it back to where it was. So you're not going to basically.
So you have it next time.
You have it next time, exactly. So I mean, all sorts of different things from like cable management to something for like a cell phone, a light. These are basic things that you should probably already have in your kit that you're going on jobs with because. If it's really dark, you have a flashlight. Have one of those headlights that you put on your head.
A headlamp is the absolute best thing you possibly get, and I get one that has like 120 lumens, the brightest possible, and throw it in and runs on AAAs. It's not a hard thing. Yeah. So what else would we add to this? What else would we help Ken out? What else? I would put a flashlight in there and a headlamp. Headlamp even better than a flashlight, personally. Okay. What else? What else have you had on set that's gone down? You thought, I wish we had.
Any kind of adapt. For me, it's. I mean, I'm coming from a video world, so I'm talking now like any kind of barrel, SDI barrels or HDMI connectors or HDMI cables.
The HDMI connector,
that comes full straight back to cable management and cables and adapters.
I can't tell you how many times like. The whole set gets shut down because we don't have a tiny adapter or a cable or something that's just so like, it's like $4 at Sammy's, but I can't move on until I get this stupid thing.
And again, all this little stuff, you're looking at a few $100s as an investment in your job. That's what it is.
You come with a kit that has a thing. Yeah. I love the fact that there's a Sharpie on here. You can't have enough pens and Sharpies. I'm always on set going, let me get my Sharpie.
Grease pencils are good.
Grease pencils are good. What other things would you include in this kit?
I'm trying to picture my kit. You know what I found really useful? You can get the insulating reflective tape at Home Depot. It's reflective tape, and I can't tell you, like, I'll take a little strip and I'll put it on a reflective or a surface and hit a light on it and be able to bounce like it. If you want to light a bottle or something like that, rather than getting a mirror, you just get a little piece of reflective tape, stick it there.
That's fun.
I wanted a little bit more punch out of a bounce light in someone's face, an uplight, so I just put a few strips of tape and hit it from a 650 up top.
That's the one thing I did forget. Gaffer's tape.
I would put a roll of gaffer's tape in here.
Yep. I roll just slipped on that one. So gaffer's tape is going to be one of the big ones, and white and black.
White and
black.
Don't just get black.
Gaff tack, as they call it at Roscoe.
Really?
I did not know that.
I believe so.
And I'd even get chroma green, a little 1-inch chroma green.
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
well, for video,
for
absolutely.
video,
I mean, you're doing a lot of chroma stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, with stills, we're not maybe doing as much chroma key stuff, but
for
it
video.
does happen, and you're doing knockouts for our clients, and you're doing compositing stuff. So absolutely, but you know, think of the tools that you're using. Camera, you know, make sure you've got cleaning stuff for the camera. Make sure you got cables for the cameras. Make sure you have on the other side when you're going to do data management, you've got card readers that are designed for whatever cards you're using. Make sure that you've got a basic set of tools, screwdriver, even a hammer. You know, might even work
fix that
out.
5D.
Well, it could
Gotta
be
get that sensor out of
there. You might be having to modify something on set. You know, if you're building a set, you know, all of a sudden something got loose. Well, you might need that.
The other day I was on set and I need a drywall screw. I need any kind of a screw. We're tearing everything apart. We can't come up with one little, you know, if I'd had a screwdriver with a couple of screws, would have fixed it.
And that's, I mean, you could put endless amounts
easily.
of stuff like that. Tools, screws, cables, adapters, whatever in this kind of a case.
So yeah, it really, think about it in a sense of that you're not trying to do a redundancy on the camera gear and the computer and all that stuff.
This is all the little incidentals.
These are all the little incidentals that, you know, will arise. It'll come
Save the day equipment.
Yep. You got it.
Be the hero.
So there's your hero bag, so you can be a hero on set. Great segment, Ken. Where can we see this, Lars?
Oh, you can see this on YouTube. Or if you want to listen to it, you can listen to it on our podcast.
Yes, on our podcast.
The Slanted Lens, Trench in the Trenches podcast. You can listen to it on your morning jog, on your way to work.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Oh, come on.
Come
on. Oh, come on.
Gotta call it.
Time of death, 11:45 in the morning.
Get your accidental damage protection plans, people. Protect yourselves.
Please, there's only so much we can do. There's only so much we can do.
All right.
Well, let's move on. What else we got here?
Next patient here.
Next patient coming in. This is Dr. JP, renowned neurosurgeon, and Dr. Lars Lindstrom, renowned proctologist.
You jerk. You get to be the neurosurgeon and I get to be the proctologist?
We have two new somethings here. We're going to listen and just see exactly what we got. Oh, I'm getting a pretty good vibe here. Yeah.
Good vibration control or vibration compensation?
Absolutely. There's vibration absolutely.
Good vibration compensation, I feel.
But what's unusual about that is vibration compensation, but it's on a 35mm lens.
It's a prime
It's
lens.
a prime 35mm.
A prime candidate.
That's interesting.
Very
You don't see that
prime,
kind of. Yeah, you don't see that kind of vibration compensation. You don't have that on a 35mm.
No, this is
normally.
nice. This is a
What's
nice
the
healthy,
aperture?
Healthy aperture there. 1.8. I
is
think.
it a 1.8?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
No,
a nice,
you're right. It's a
nice,
1.8. It's a 1.8 aperture.
Yeah. Now here's something interesting. A strong minimum focusing distance.
Minimum photo. Oh yeah.
7.9 inches.
Wow.
Wow.
For a 35mm lens, boy, that's close with the lens, and that's to the sensor, which means your camera is right up on top of the subject.
If I were focusing on this pumpkin.
Yeah, which every operating room has a pumpkin in it, of course.
Be about that far. That's nice.
Yeah, that's really incredible.
All right,
that's incredible.
Great.
So 35mm, vibration control,
Yeah.
1.8, prime lens by Tamron.
Yeah.
Wow, check that out. Well, that's exactly what it is. 35mm f1.8.
Let's take a look at it, Doctor.
Nicely called there, Doctor. Nicely called. Well, let's see what we got here. So this is a new lens by Tamron. New and new and new. Get it out of there.
Ooh.
That's really pretty, actually.
I just want to touch it.
Absolutely.
All right. So this is something I've been hoping Tamron would do for a while
Me too.
now.
Definitely needed.
There's prime lenses, and I mean, Tamron's, pretty much every single one of their lenses has vibration control.
Yes. So even down to the 35mm.
Yeah, 35, that's great. And so that's going to get you an extra third or maybe even 2/3 of a stop more light if you're doing stills, and then it's just going to give you a different look for your handheld for video. But great build quality. I love how big the focusing ring is.
Me too. Great big
right
focusing
off the
ring.
bat.
Do you know what? First time I picked it up, the thing I loved the absolute most. If you're switching on this little knob here is large enough that it goes really easy, and it's so nice. Same with turning the vibration control on and off. Those are really fabulous to use.
Feels like a very large throw
It's
here.
got a nice long throw.
Yeah, more than 180 degrees.
That's really nice.
About 200-degree throw. So if you are doing video, that's going to feel real nice, actually.
It's going to feel beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, but seriously though, 0.66 feet minimum focus. That's 7.9 inches.
That's incredible.
So that's like almost a macro lens.
Well,
so,
you start to get that sense. You're going to shoot someone's hands in a wide angle in kind of that documentary style. You can get in really close.
So on a full
and
frame sensor, because these lenses will work on full
They are
frames.
full frame sensors.
Full frame sensor, 35 millimeters at 7.9 inches. I mean, that's just going to give you a really cool look, especially now you're looking at 1.8, and I wonder how sharp they are.
I shot with them. I shot with both these, and they're very sharp. I shot the Canon and that, shot the same image, and they're very sharp. They're in the same category.
Yeah,
absolutely. Very
I'd
impressed.
Love to see that.
And when I say sharp, wide open. I had it wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you see it, so very nice.
Okay.
These are great lenses, great lens. So let's check out our next one there, Doctor, and see what we've got.
Okay. I am examining the patient. May I proceed?
Please.
It's a different focal length.
Is it?
Same. It's a sibling.
It's a sibling. Yeah,
Sibling,
to the Tamron.
same
Another
manufacturer.
prime. Another prime.
Prime, yes.
Yeah,
a prime,
that's interesting.
Lens. A little interesting focal length actually. I'm picking up maybe a 45.
45. That is interesting. It's not a 50. It's a 45.
45.
Yeah.
You know,
45.
it's interesting. The more I work with full frame lenses, you know, my 50. Sometimes I feel like on a full frame sensor, it's not really a walk around lens anymore. So maybe just a little bit broader is actually a good range to be in.
Nice. Again, we've got a 1.8 on our hands here.
Another
again.
1.8.
Yeah.
Consistent apertures. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Another pretty impressive focal distance there.
Yeah, not quite as close as the 35 millimeter.
11.9, 11.10 inches.
11 almost 10, yeah. Still, you're getting very close. Not a macro lens, but you can work really close with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
vibration control. Got that going for us.
Yeah. Let's take a look.
Let's take a look at it. See what we got.
All right. Well, our calculations
were spot
correct.
on. You know, it's good to be an expert at these kinds of things. It does help.
Indeed. 11.4 inches.
11.4.
Focal focal distance.
67 millimeter for the lens.
Thread mount.
Thread mount. Yep.
All right. Let's see what we got here.
And look, it's a small hat that comes with it. It's so nice.
So I like the consistent aperture thing. So if they're gonna start making primes, which I'm really excited about, it's kind of vital, especially if you want to switch between stills. If you want to do it for video, and if you want a consistent set of lenses, the consistent aperture thing is kind of a big deal. 9
blades, so they have gorgeous bokeh. I mean, that's a really pretty. I need to test that and see exactly what that looks like. But at that 1.8, that's going to be really pretty.
Yeah, 9 blade aperture. You're going to get some decent bokeh. I'd love to take a look at that.
Really pretty. Yep.
But yeah, no, I love the build quality for video. I love that you've got 180 degrees, feels like on the 45 and 200 degree focus throw. Like even those, like, I mean, I swear those Canon lenses, like those, because they're built to focus super fast.
Yeah.
They don't give you, if you want to do video for them, it's just almost impossible.
It's really short. Yeah, this is much nicer. So these are a great addition to Tamron's series of lenses. They've got a great series of full frame, zoom lenses, but these become a great addition as you got your prime lenses.
Right.
I would guess we'll see coming from them something in a little longer length.
Yeah, I'd hope so.
I would think that would become the next step.
85, 80, 75, 100, something like that would be really
something
great.
like that. I think would be the next step, absolutely.
Yeah.
So great new additions by great new addition from Tamron. Their 35 millimeter and their 45 millimeter 1.8 lenses. Yeah. This has been Dr. Lars and Dr. JP taking a look at lenses today. We're going to continue to examine great photography lenses and cameras, the doctors of photography, coming to you from the Slanted Lens. So remember, if you want to support this show, if you want to keep us on the air, if we're going to be on the air by November, we need you to go to sammys.com/slanted lens, not the Slanted Lens, Slanted Lens. Just get there and see what's there, see the things that they have to offer. So let's keep those cameras rolling, keep on clicking. So that's been Trends from the Trenches for the month of October. We've gone from mummies to doctors.
What are we doing in between with Ken?
Yeah, was it not?
Oh,
normal
hero.
Folks.
Hero versus villain.
Yes, heroes versus villains.
And
the
monsters.
hero bag.
The hero bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a great information day. I hope you enjoy it. Give us a shout out, leave us some comments. But remember, get to sammys.com/slantedlens. Keep those cameras rolling, keep on clicking.